what does optimization mean, guys?
Exactly.
Optimization means pulling the most out of something.
Absolutely.
Guy, it's like you have a Lamborghini and you're driving it at 40 miles an hour. The car was optimized to go at 200 miles an hour. So basically, the way I understand it, and this is really what clarified it to me, right? Trying to pay off a 3% home loan of $400,000 and missing out on 10% growth. It's like driving a Lamborghini at 40 miles. It just doesn't make sense. And one of the things you talk about, it's very controversial, I know, because there's only a minority of people that think like you. It doesn't mean they're wrong. It just means they're different. You are one of the people I've really heard talk about the fact that, you know what? Buying a home is not a damn investment. No, it's not. And for most people, they really have no business buying a home and the size of home at the time they buy it. I want you to talk about your thoughts on that. Why are you so passionate and adamant around that area?
Yeah. I think that let me clarify a little bit. That one got me in a lot of trouble too.
It's a good trouble though. It's good trouble.
There are a lot of people who think that just buy a home. At least if you bought a home, you've done something and you've done something right? And it makes it so that they don't think about the numbers, they don't think about the location with the right criticality that they should.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I'm pushing all of us to do is don't just assume that because you bought a home, that was the right thing for you to do with the money at that point in time, right? Opportunity cost. What did you give up in order for you to do that? Mm-hmm. And what does having that stop you from doing in the future that you could have done if you hadn't bought that? So when I posted that video, some people came up to me and were like, hey, I'm glad I watched that video because I just assumed that if I buy a house, it's always a good investment.
Correct.
And it's not, right? There are a lot of different reasons to buy. The first home that we bought has done really well. It ended up being in an area that grew really quickly. It's appreciated a ton over the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
The mortgage was really cheap. It allowed us to do a lot of things with our lives. We bought it at a time when the interest rate was 3%.
Please, can you transfer me that interest rate?
I wish I could transfer it from that house to the house that we have now because that was...
Oh my God. I don't even think we'll ever get back there again. Oh boy.
But that's one of the best investments that we've made is the house. So I'm not saying that real estate is bad. And then the other thing that house allowed us to do was we bought that home just before COVID. COVID shut down. All my younger sisters at that time were in college. They came and I had a baby. They came to visit the baby. They ended up riding through COVID with us, right? If we didn't have the house and we were living in a 2-bedroom apartment, that would have been a really tight and uncomfortable space. So there are a lot of reasons to buy a house, but don't assume that you're doing it for financial reasons, right? Like if you buy a home that allows you to do a lot of things for your family, that's great.
I really love that point you make because there is a need to distinguish between the enjoyment of a home as part of your life and home and a house as an investment. And I think you're getting towards that. I want you to go through that part too.
Yes. And so, yeah, exactly, right? Like, be clear about the reason. Everything that you do in life doesn't have to always be about return on investment financially. But as somebody who believes in enjoying the life that you have right now, be clear-eyed about what it is that is the motivation and be clear-eyed about what you're giving up to that for your family. The reason that the family reason or the enjoyment of the home is reason enough to buy the home, but don't deceive yourself about the fact that it's automatically going to be an investment. Now, if you're intentionally buying it for it to be an investment, then again, do your homework about the location and the likelihood of growth and appreciation of the home in that area, which is always going to be a speculation. Be clear about the opportunity cost that you're giving up by putting whatever down payment you put on the house and what you could have done else with the money, factoring in the appreciation likelihood. Be clear about, the interest rate of the loan that you're getting, what that means for the payment that you're going to have, the likelihood of occupancy of the home, and how it translates into revenue, a revenue stream for you going forward, right? So do your homework and make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons and that the numbers shake out and make sense to you, whether you're buying it as a home for your family to live in or you're buying it as a real estate investment. I just want to challenge the notion that it's always the right idea or it's always the right to buy, because there are a lot of things that don't necessarily shape out the way that people think that they will.
Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right financially? You have a good career, you make great income, you are saving money, you are investing, it's the greatest time of your life, but deep down, you are still not completely sure you are making the right financial decisions. If that's you, I completely understand, because I know what it feels like to earn good money. I've made multiple six figures in tech and still struggle financially. Years ago, despite earning well above double six figures, I filed for bankruptcy, guys. I lost 2 homes to foreclosure. I lost over $80,000 in the stock market trying to trade simply because I didn't understand how investing and wealth building really work. You know what my problem was? Was that nobody had taught me how to build wealth the right way, the sustainable way. That's exactly why I created my private wealth strategy session. This is a structured 60-minute strategy session, which is designed to help you gain something that's incredibly difficult to find today. My goal isn't to tell you what to do. I'm no financial advisor, okay? But my goal is to help you see what you may not be seeing on your own, because I've walked that path and that journey. Because clarity changes decisions and better decisions change lives. You will live with a clear roadmap, greater confidence in your financial direction, and a better understanding of the next logical steps that move you closer to the future you are trying to build. The investment for this 60-minute session is a small percentage of what you even make every week. And if at the end of our conversation we both decide it makes sense to continue working together, I'll credit every dollar of your investment towards the implementation program that's the best fit for you. So if you're ready to stop simply earning money and start becoming more intentional about building wealth, if you are ready to gain clarity, confidence, and direction for your financial future, I want you to pay attention. If this resonates with where you are today, like where I was 10 years ago, click the link below and book your private wealth strategy session. I'd be honored to walk that journey with you. Now, let's get back to today's video. What is that percentage like? The percentage of your success to failures?
I don't think I can quantify them in a percentage right now, or like publicly.
So
I can tell that I'm above the average VC fund.
Okay. Now, let me put some context to that question. I'm sorry, the way I threw it, it came out a little bit. Forgive me. Let me put some context to it, right? You know a little bit about baseball, right?
Yeah.
Now, the Baseball Hall of Fame contains the greatest baseball players that have ever played, right? And for these baseball players that have ever played, to get into the Hall of Fame, the people who are in the Hall of Fame average a hitting average of about 30%. So for every 10 balls that is pitched to them, they hit only 3 out of 10. But that is able to qualify them to the Hall of Fame. That's to tell you the level of difficulty to hit that ball. So I want you to understand where that context is not like, no, the percentage success in the venture capitalist space is not like in regular business on the stock market or something. So it might be as a number small, but as a percentage of a representation of that industry is significant. So that's from that perspective I was coming with that.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna tell you this, right? In venture capital, we like to say for every 10 companies we invest, like one will succeed at about 9 will fail, right? So like that's like
that's a good average,
right? I would say in the last 5 years, because I started investing in 2021, I've invested in 33 companies today.
Wow.
I have built 33 companies. I've had 4 acquisitions. And I've had...
So what's an acquisition here? I want us to get that. So another bigger company comes to buy that company.
Exactly.
So which means the company is successful enough for a richer, bigger, more capitalized business to come and say, Eunice, I want this business. You're giving me this business 10x the value. I don't care. I want this business.
Exactly. So it's when a bigger company can acquire a smaller one. So like bigger companies have come and acquired, a lot of my portfolio companies. I've had fun ones, and I've had 3 companies that have raised multiple, consecutive rounds of funding. So like I invested at a very
early stage
when, they were sub 5 million, and today they are now anything between 50, 75 and 250 million. So those are like the few success stories that I can mention. And I've actually got, quite a few on, like I've actually returned money back to some of my investors, and I've also got some money back from some of my investments as an individual. So I'll stop it at that. So I like to say that I am typically a little bit above the average.
Absolutely. It's very
investment.
It's very clear. I mean, just looking at you, you're looking bright, beautiful, and joyful. So certainly there's been some returns coming in. for somebody who hasn't been making returns, of course, you're not be looking that way. But seriously, guys, the reason why I'm asking Eunice those questions is because, number one, Eunice is probably the most, at least in my experience, and I've dealt with a lot of different businesses and business people, investors, pitches, venture capitalists. She is very transparent, okay? She doesn't try to build the whole thing and smokes and glass. Just like she mentioned, she's talked to over 5,000 people in the last 4 years. And when you do that, you get to meet a lot of hype. So I'm really, really grateful to have Eunice today because she gives it to us the way it is, right? I like the fact that you also talked about thresholds, which is something many people don't think about. Yes, venture capitalism, you shouldn't be investing in a venture capital business as your first investment. It doesn't make sense because the risk is just too exponentially higher for you starting off. But let's say you already have your other investments going and then you want to accelerate your growth. This is a good accelerator. In fact, the way I look at it and the way I practice it too, because now that you say you're starting Fund 2, I mean, I would like to be part of Fund 2. There's no question about that, I've invested in a couple of other ventures too, and to me, I always look at that upside. Yes, there is a downside, but the way I look at it, guys, is you're just looking for that one. It might take you 20 tries, but you're just looking for that one, and that one will make up for everything else you might think you've lost to all of that stuff. But the beautiful thing is that one, I am not the one building that one. I am not the one going down there with my sweat and my blood and my blood. I'm just a guy who is lucky to have had information like you guys listen to me right now. I'm lucky to be getting information from somebody who invests in multiple companies, and in those multiple companies, there is that one in it. What is it you believe in this time and age that enough is something that people really just never define it and attain it? What is the challenge in your opinion?
It requires experience. So this is definitely very much part of the life journey that I'm on. I read this great book called Your Money or Your Life years and years ago, Vicki Robin.
Your Money or Your Life. I love
Your Money or Your Life. One of my favorites. I love finance books. So of course I had to add one to the list, but I've read quite a number of them. And I think we can get stuck on the hamster wheel of more. Like I need more. I need to make more money. I need the bigger thing. I need the bigger house and the nicer car. And it's having money set as the goal. And if money is the goal, there's never enough. There's always going to be more. And at every level, your eyes, if you're looking at money, you're looking at the people who make more than you. So you're a millionaire and you're thinking, I don't have enough, because what about the billionaires? And you're a billionaire and you're thinking, well, I want to be the trillionaire, right? Like literally, this is proven. You will never, if money is the goal, you will never have enough. Absolutely. And so how do we shift our focus from money as a goal to a meaningful, fulfilling life as the goal? And then we can figure out, well, what's enough money for that, right? And so, that's what I've been wanting to figure out, probably throughout my life, thinking about how do I do meaningful work. But at this stage, I think this question of enough can apply to so many areas, from work to salary, but also like what's enough house, what's enough car, what do you need in your relationship? Where's the edge? Is the way I describe it. I used to do admissions. I used to do college admissions, and we'd always be trying to figure out where's the edge between being in and out of the class. For like the most highly select, like Harvard admissions, like everyone's excellent. So you're trying to find that edge between who's in and who's out. And I think that applies to life as well. Like where really is the edge where you're really truly happy and fulfilled and sort of living in purpose and all of that versus just wanting to accumulate more stuff. So it could be the edge between enough. It could be the edge between what is internally purposeful versus the external requirements or expectations or validation, right? So we're trying to find that edge. And I think we can only do it through experience, right? It's hard to do it theoretically. You got to have some experiences and you got to sit back and reflect and be like, okay, did that bring me internal fulfillment? Was it just an external thing, a check mark? And then I really needed something else. The fulfillment wasn't there. It's really it's like an introspective process, you know? Yeah.
And I think that's a brilliant way to put it, especially because we live in a time today when people are most marketed to, right? I tell people every average human being, especially in America, is bombarded by 3,000 pieces of information every day. Billboards, marketing letters from your mailbox, internet, social media. So what it does something to the human mind. And if you're not strong enough, like you say, to be able to reflect and define what your enough is, you'll just be spinning around, and by the time you know it, you're never feeling satisfied because you always feel. I was talking to a client a couple of days ago, and this person is making $400,000 a year. Long, beautiful career ahead of them. Almost job security because this person is in the healthcare industry. Yet they still feel anxious. And I asked this person, I said, why are you anxious? Well, I feel like I'm still behind. Behind on what? By whose definition?
Yeah.
By whose standard? So what you're doing, Dr. Wood, is so powerful because you're working with people from the inside, from the mindset, from the spirit.
When you started, you weren't clear where you were going. How were you able to continue on that path, even when you weren't clear?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think for me personally, there was no option to failure, right? There was no plan B. And there was I already left a great career, right? This has to work. So even when I was struggling as a first time founder, probably in, I don't know, I think it was 2017, right? 2017, I was like, there's no going back from here. I have to figure out a way, and which I meant was I kept showing up, right? I was crazy. Some people said that I was finding mad, or I was delulu, right? I didn't really know. There was no plan B for me. Even when I was homeless, even when I was sleeping in my car, I tell people that I used to sleep in the Planet Fitness parking lot. I would go work out at 5 a.m. in the morning, finish working out, I'll take a shower in the Planet Fitness, I'll put on my suit and show up to the meeting like I was $1 million person, right? So I think today when people face, just challenges in general, that, they have all the reasons on why they should give up and why they shouldn't move forward. I think when you have a bigger conviction, a bigger purpose than just the money, which the money was not necessarily my thing, it's just a great advantage that comes, with the purpose. And we figure it out.
That's awesome.
Now, I want you to take yourself back when you came to America. Probably you were 25 years old? I don't know, 23, 24, something?
I came in, I was 21.
You were 21. Okay. So let's even take that as an example, right? And let's say your goal was to be a millionaire by the time you were 45 years old, or by the time you were 50, you wanted to be worth $2 million, right? At that time, I want you to guide me. What are the steps if you had a way to go back in time, you would have done differently to put you in that position? Of course, you've achieved that now, but let's say you wanted to achieve that by the time you were 40, or by the time 20 years into your life in America, which puts you at 41. What are some of those steps you would have taken concretely to get there?
Wow, that's a deep question. Right?
Yes.
So
yes.
many,
so that
many,
people
many
listening to
moving
us can
parts.
see practically what they can do.
No, absolutely. If I take myself 20 years back, right? One thing I would do is to be consistent
With your
Right.
investment.
with investments and also with my career objectives, right? There are so many times when, and I believe that this has happened to a multitude of people, right? Where sometimes you tend to follow the crowd. When I started, as I mentioned, I was with CarMax, right?
Correct.
And nobody told me anything, right?
Mhm.
And they said, you know what, they were doing stock options. You know what? I said, you know what? Sign me up. Nobody told me anything. And a year or two into the company grew astronomically in such a
Correct.
way that we had a stock split.
So
Oh my
your
God.
stock became more valuable by the number of times it was split.
Yes, and I believe that there were 2 times that the split occurred, right?
Wow.
So this is me just sitting and money was just doubling, right? But imagine that I had a mentor. So 20 years back, that is what I would have hoped for.
I'm done. I like the fact that you bring that up, though, especially because I've asked this question to multiple people who've been on my platform, and the answer is usually about the same. I wish I started investing on the stock market earlier. I wish I understood how the financial system of America works. I sitting here too, I've thought about that a lot, and not too long ago I did an extrapolation. I told myself, Gustav, you got here at the age of 23. What if you started investing $500 a month, which wasn't too much money when I came because we were being paid nicely and cost of living was really low. And we're doing a lot of doubles, if you remember. We used to work, we were young guys, 21, 23. Man, we were working around the clock, though. 16 hours wasn't a problem, right? And I did the math, and he told me that if I had just invested $500 for the first 15 years of my life in America, so from the age of 23 till the age of 38, and stopped, right? And just let that money sit, averaging 10% in an average ETF. By the time I get to 65, I would be sitting on $3.7 million, 3.5, 3.4, $3.5 million. So that means if we knew what we know now, and this is for people
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter your age group, right? It doesn't matter where you're starting from. This information is going to help you. But if you are younger, it's even better for you.
Even better.
What this really means to me is that if you're coming into America right now as a young person, as an immigrant, you want to make sure as you start making money, you invest the most amount of money possible. The reason why is because that dollar that gets in the market earlier, it's more valuable than 10 times that amount of dollar that gets in the market 20 years after. So what I'm saying is that putting $1 today is more valuable for that dollar to stay in the market from today for another 20 years than waiting 20 years to put $100.
You're absolutely right.
That is some of the things we were never taught. We didn't understand that power. We would have gotten to millionaireship earlier. We would have probably earlier than this point in our life, work would have been optional for us.
No, you're absolutely
I don't have no doubt in my mind, right? And so I'm really glad that you also share that opinion, because that's something I believe a lot of people can learn from. Hi there. If you really want to start saving and building wealth without feeling like life keeps resetting your progress every month, then this is for you. I want you to use this simple system that will tell you exactly where your money should go and how it should be redistributed and invested. Let's be honest here, all right? You intend to save like most people who work do, but life keeps happening to you like it does to 70% of Americans who don't have any savings. Something always comes up, and the money you plan to keep always vanishes through thin air. Then you get a raise. You start feeling like you're rich For a moment, you start believing that you are advancing in life. But you know what? Just like your salary, within 30 days, you feel like nothing changed in your financial life. And you are right back where you started. Not because you didn't try, but because nothing actually changed. And then there is this part most people don't like to talk about. Money comes in, but you don't fully control where it goes. It just moves automatically, quietly, sneaking through expenses and things that you don't pay attention until you check your account and you wonder what happened. That cycle, it's not a discipline problem. It's a system problem. You don't have a structured, organized, stress-free, and easy to implement system. Because without a system, saving will always feel temporary and progress will always feel like you are resetting yourself all the time. That's why I created this simple program. It's called the Paycheck Escape System. It's a simple plug and play system that is going to help you break free from the paycheck to paycheck cycle. You're going to stop surviving month to month and start gaining financial breathing room practically. You are going to learn how to go from confused to financially clear. You will learn some simple steps and methods that helps you finally take control of your money. These are steps that are proven and have helped thousands of my clients who've come through my system. You are going to shift from becoming a saver and to learn how to start building wealth, because saving alone is not enough. This program is going to teach you how to build wealth without working yourself to the ground and ending up old, sick, broke. I will give you a chance to also learn the mindset that helped me rebuild after bankruptcy and 2 foreclosures. The same principles I used to rebuild my life step by step and to grow my portfolio to over $1 million today. You are going to also learn how to find your best path to prosperity. And if that's not enough, you're also going to receive 3 powerful bonus resources from this training designed to help you take immediate action and start building real momentum with your money, your mindset, and your future. The truth is, most people will spend $27 today on food, on entertainment, on impulse purchases, and have nothing to show for it tomorrow. So you are not alone in that. But this $27 could become the moment everything begins to shift for you. This is going to be the moment you begin breaking free from the paycheck cycle and creating a future your family and your future generations can be proud of. So I want you to click below and get instant access to the Paycheck Escape System training before the prices go up. There is no wait time. You will get instant access to the training. I will see you on the inside. And you told me a story about when you started your career in IT and your first position, you had multiple offers. You had an offer where they were giving you a lot more money. You had another offer which had less money but had other things that you believe gave you a better advantage in your career. I want you to really guide and talk about that story. The reason is because a lot of people get caught up with just looking only at the monetary value of jobs, and they don't really think about the overall compensation of a job. And I want you to share that story, especially because it happened to you earlier in your career. At that point, you really hadn't had much experience. At that point, I believe you weren't as knowledgeable about compensation, about all these other things like you are today. How were you able to understand the difference and pick something that today, that moment became the defining moment for your career?
Yeah. Like you rightly said, I had 2 competing offers, right? And one was regular employment, project based, where it was like probably like 25K more than what
$25,000 more.
Yes, $25,000 more than what I was gonna make in the role I finally went for. I got the offer. Actually, sometimes also it's about luck and divine positioning. I would say, God also put me in that position because I got the offer about 3 weeks prior to even interviewing for the second job.
Okay. So the first offer was a project-based offer.
Project-based offer, but was
it a full-time job?
It was a full-time job. It was project-based. Yeah.
Okay. So both were full-time.
Yeah. I had a few perks here and there, but it wasn't comparatively to what I had in the second offer. I got an interview for the second one. And I told them, I took advantage of that. I was like, and also the mentorship we had, the guidance we had. I let them know, hey, I have a competing offer on the table, so you guys have to move fast because I have to make a decision. At that point, I didn't know what the total compensation was going to be for the second. So when I got the offer, I really took my time. I read offer letter. I wasn't just crazy about,
the amount. Yeah.
The second people were like, we're going to pay you this X and X amount of money. Mind you, it wasn't 6-figure, but the other one was 6-figure. But there were a whole lot of other things that, as perks, I would definitely want to go for the second one, right? We're going to pay you this. We're going to move you to Connecticut. We're going to put you in a hotel. We're going to give you a sign-on bonus. You're going to get, all this healthcare, vacation. We're going to give you a ticket to Disney. Then I've not been to Disney, right? So all those little perks come into play, right? And then the big one was, we have incentives to stay. Then they called it some fancy word, I can't remember, but it was an incentive. It's like what some companies call RSUs, restricted stock units.
So as a staff,
you get it over time, right? So we had bonuses for cash bonus based on how the company performed. And then we had the stock option as well. So there were other things that I looked at it, I was like, this is a whole full package. I didn't even know where Connecticut was at that time, right? Like I just knew Connecticut was somewhere around New York, and then the other one was in Seattle. So I looked at weighed both options. Everything was just pointing at the second option. And my mentor at that time was a teacher, also kind of guided me and gave me, supporting reasons why you should go for the second one. Like it's not even an option, but I read through the fine print to look at all the perks that I had to make that decision.
Absolutely. And I think what is even more interesting about this, Mandy, is not only the fact that you were able to make the right decision at that time, but the fact that even till this moment, a lot of people don't understand how to evaluate an offer. When did you start realizing that earning money is not the same as building wealth?
It's interesting because actually I've had that knowledge prior to even
Awesome. Okay.
This is something, if you remember, I told you about some values my dad instilled in me with my me. So that's something I'd worked at McDonald's before. That was my first job when I came, right? Just to start from somewhere. I did the home healthcare thing, and then I found my dream job at that time at the bank. And I've always valued, like saving and knowing how to manage my money. So seeing this money, quite honestly, it felt good, but it didn't really change how I saw money. It didn't change my perspective about money because I was really exposed to money early on, and how to manage it. It just made me feel more comfortable and knowing that, I can be able to afford certain things that, I may not have, or I could have afforded it, but I had to, there's a balance. I always have to say there's a trade-off when it comes to money. Me and money management is a trade-off. So if I'm doing something on one side, I'm giving up something on the other side, right? So, but yeah, it felt good. It felt rewarding and fulfilling. But I would say my perspective about money had not changed, or it did not change.
Awesome. Anytime people are not attacking the concepts you are bringing out, then you are not transforming people. Because transformation includes attacking fundamental beliefs that have been held for so long, but which are not serving people. Yeah. And so if they are not pushing back, it means they're not changing. Once they start pushing back, it's because you are touching that pain point. I've always believed this makes sense. No, it doesn't. This is what the numbers say. You can buy a term insurance, you invest the rest, and somebody who buys an IUL, you compare yourselves in 30 years, see who is ahead. Simple as ABC. I like the fact that you talked about that whole thing about in 15 years, the insurance will start paying for itself. Bullshit. Where would they be taking the money to pay for itself?
From the portfolio.
An insurance that has a return of 6% of the index fund, which they're investing 20% of the initial fees premium you pay. You pay $2,000, they invest $500, and the maximum return they can give you is 12% at the best. But averagely, index those universal life insurances pay out about 6 to 7% in returns. Come on now.
Yeah.
It's painful sometimes when you understand the exploitation. I would use that word. right? It is painful. And then you talked about another critical part. Most people never hold it to term. They just cannot afford it. That's the truth.
Yeah.
They start paying the thing, and then 2 months, maybe they don't have a second job, or they don't have overtime in their job. They drop it. They've lost everything they put in the first place. They've lost the compounding for 2 years. They've lost the premiums. And then the salesperson is happily in their Acura.
Whereas, like, if you had that 2,000 at that point in time and you got your term and you can afford the 100 and your situation changes, maybe I can't invest 1,900 in an index fund consistently, but I can do 900, right? Like, I don't have that extra 1,000.
Yes.
It's flexible.
That flexibility.
You can put it in, you can pull it out, you can change it whenever you want. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
And I will tell you a little bit about myself. When I came into the United States, I really had no options, right? Whatever I needed, I had to do. I started working at McDonald's, right? And coming into the United States with a first degree, I knew that I would meet so many opportunities, but unfortunately, it wasn't the case. So I had to start from the ground up, right?
Correct.
I started working at McDonald's. I kept my cool, go there. They sent me into all, I had to do dishes, right? I had to man the cashier. I did not know about the currency, but I had to learn. I had to sweep. I had to do everything that was needed to be able to put me in that position to succeed, right? To tap into the American dream. Unfortunately for me, my brother had to service his vehicle, and he told me to jump into the car, and we went to CarMax. And when I went there, I saw his sign, and it stated that, they were hiring. I said I could do this, right? I went up, I was very curious, right? I was like, I need to do this. I took the application, filled the application, went back for the interview. It was a tough interview. That was the first time I was really exposed to doing interviews. But what landed that job for me was the fact that I was honest, right? They asked me a bunch of sales questions, and I totally told them that, honestly, I have no clue, right? But I have the zeal, I have the capacity to learn. And guess what? I was made that offer. And I believe that is what changed my life. And from there, I started interacting with people. And I discovered that when it comes to sales, right, it's not just about the product. People don't come to you just to buy a product. They can buy the product from anywhere. They come to you because of the trust that you instill in them, the purpose and the satisfaction. And I believe that became my cornerstone, right? It's about relating to people, right? Understanding people from a distance. It's about profiling people in a positive way rather than a negative way, right? And I believe that when you have those foundations, it opens so many opportunities for you.
Opportunities come and go in life. Sometimes you only know the value of the opportunity after the opportunity.
Yes.
In this case, there is no question. It's a company people are building, it's busy, there are failures, there are struggles, money is short. Some people are not paying. Sometimes you owe money, you're struggling to pay salaries, right? In that moment, in those times, even when it looks like business is not working, what still made you believe in that vision?
I'll respond to that with a small story.
Sure.
About 8 months into when I joined the company, I came to work one morning. I usually got in very early, and I found a young lady carrying a child sitting in front of my door. And I passed. She greeted, good morning. I passed and went in. She came and knocked, asking if she could see me. I said yes. She introduced herself. She was one of the seafaring workers, one of their wives.
Okay.
And she came to see me to say her husband had not been home for 2 months. I said, so my initial thought was, I've kept him offshore for 2 months, and that's not good. He needs time with his family. So I immediately asked for the schedule to be brought back. I said, okay, this person, when was he last onshore? And how long was he onshore for? He had been onshore for 3 weeks and had not gone home. Seamen, of course, side chicks or whatever. But what this meant for this young lady was she has a husband who is working round the clock, but she's not seeing the benefits of it. So I tried to explain that, no, he's come home. His money he has been paid. There's no question. He has been back on shore. I don't know why you're not seeing it. I said, but why did you come to me? She said, because I consider you a mother. They all say you are their mother.
Wow. Wow.
I would never get this from EcoBank, or I'm sorry, I keep using EcoBank because that was my personal experience.
Yeah.
I did have an offer from Cameco too at the time. Cameco was just starting up. I got an IT offer from there, but I would never get this feeling from that structured corporate.
Yeah.
But I got this from something that I was building from scratch, and it made all the difference for me. That is what gave me the impetus or the power or the strength or the, the grit to keep going even on days when I would sacrifice half of my salary to make sure the seamen are paid.
Now,
and I was able, because looking at it as a mother, I was able to tell her, I'm going to talk to him, and his next 2 salaries, he will receive it from the office with you present. To make sure you get. I cannot pay you his money, but I can make sure you're there when his money comes, so you see it and you get some of it.
You see, I'm glad you're talking about it, because you see, I founded a movement called the Era of Ownership movement. And the whole goal behind that movement is to remind people, to educate people of how important it is to build with the mindset of an owner. And when I talk about ownership here, I don't only teach people how to invest in assets to build wealth, I also teach people how to build legacies. And legacies doesn't only involve assets that you own, which is physical, like wealth and money, but it also involves owning your decisions, owning your life, owning the responsibility for how you want to be remembered. And so when you talk about a story like this, which has nothing to do with money, but has everything to do with owning a piece of building a legacy, for somebody to look up to a young girl, I'm sure you were in the 30s then, and think they call you mother, that is a powerful compliment.
You see, a lot of people believe that you have to start from the outside, making more money, getting that better job, right? Tell me, how do you manage to bring alignment between that lack of education and the desire to get investing and accumulate wealth by the populations that you work with?
Yeah. I mean, so we have to start with the fact that if you are in poverty, getting out is a valid goal, like period, right? And as someone who grew up in poverty, so sometimes it's even hard to describe how limiting everything around you can be, right? Because every message that you're receiving is that you're not enough, that you'll never get out. And so it feels impossible, right? And so my mother was a minister, and so she was very driven by faith, and she spoke the language of faith, right? And so even though we didn't know, even just going back to like that little teenage girl who wanted to go to Harvard, we had no idea how financial aid works. Like there's just such a limit, such a block of information. And so it required just faith, just the belief that it's possible, even though I don't know how. And I remember her saying to me, I grew up in St. Louis, and Washington University is an excellent school that's in the city. And I was on the news and, just getting this visibility as a kid. And so of course they called, as any good admissions office would do, to be like, hey, I hope you're considering Wash U. We got good financial aid, it'll be free. And I remember having this family conversation with my mother and my grandmother. My grandmother was like, well, you should just go to Wash U, it'll be free. And my mother knew I had this dream of going to Harvard. And she said in the conversation, I'll never forget, I don't know how we'll pay for it, but we'll figure it out. And that's a faith comment. Mind you, the tuition was greater than her salary ever was, right? And so even with the lack of knowledge, and I went to Harvard for free, right? It wound up being free. That's just how financial aid works, right? And so oftentimes we don't have the information, and that is a factor of poverty. Like that is actually the way the system is set up. You don't have access to the people, you don't have access to, and there's this messaging that's coming at you that's saying that don't even dream of that. Don't even plan to do that's impossible. And so, you know, I think that is like an important piece to name. So if you are in poverty and your dream is wealth and generational wealth and all, if that's what's motivating you, we can start there. We can work with that. And I want you to start to check off some of the boxes, start to hit the accomplishments, get the degree, get the job. Like let's start there. I want you to be aware that once you start to accumulate some of these things and start to break through these barriers, the satisfaction you're seeking may not be there, right? You might hit the thing and be like, is this all there is? And then the message is, no, there's more. Like we can open up. Now you have access. You have some experience behind you. And we can talk about sort of a greater purpose and greater fulfillment in life, right?
That's awesome. That's awesome. So here's the reality for most people. They truly want to invest and grow their money safely and predictably. But the reason why you hesitate is because you are afraid of making the wrong decision. The reality is many people like you were never taught on how to invest, how investing works, and how to grow your money safely and predictably. So you either delay investing, or you follow random advice you find on social media without any credibility, or in fact, you miss opportunities due to fear and staying out of the market. Some of you even overcomplicate investing because you think overcomplexity is equal to profits. No. One of the challenges you also might be facing at this time is that you don't have a clear system. And over time, this hesitation, this lack of a system is going to cost you years of miscompounding and growth in your income, costing you your financial destiny. It's on this reason that I created exactly the ultimate investor playbook. Now, this is a guide, a proven system, a repeatable way that can guide you on what to do with your money to grow it safely, consistently, and over time. It is a simple system that will help even people who haven't any idea of investing to start investing, even if you are a beginner. I also provide my portfolio in this guide to show you the things I do. This guide is also going to give you a framework to avoid costly mistakes, a clear path to financial freedom, which is that big number you've been aspiring and working towards. So if you're going to like a copy of this Ultimate Investor Playbook, which I think you should get, click the link below and download it for free right now. It's a practical starting point for anyone who wants to become a more confident investor, build wealth, and grow their money peacefully. We know that faith is a critical component, but that's not all of it, right? What are some of those other pragmatic, step-by-step things that somebody can listen with a lot of faith, but can execute on to get themselves on the path of starting to invest, starting to build wealth, and starting to not even to build wealth, but just starting to put a financial plan and action steps in place?
Yeah, thank you for naming it, because we know faith alone. And for our folks who are in the, it's like faith without works is dead, and that is true. All to say, you got to bring some action. So you can believe what you want to believe, but it's only powerful if that belief is then followed by action. So it wasn't enough just for me to have a dream of going to college or a dream. Like I had to actually now start to practice, start to make some mistakes, but like to always be in action in life and not in fear. And so I appreciate you naming this. Like, okay, so what are we going to do? I would love to not be poor, or I would love to be rich. Let's say that's your goal. That's all right. What are the actions that we're going to take? And so in that opening intro, you sort of talked about this dream, earn, invest. And I love the starting with the dream, like where are we headed? Like what's the destination? Give us some navigation and give us some motivation, right? And then we got to make some money. And I think, one of the myths maybe around how we build wealth is that we go straight to investing. And maybe that investing is going to be the ticket to making money, right? And so for those of us who've tried that, like I don't have any money, so I'm going to go try to invest in real estate to make money. Like that is actually, we're putting things in the wrong order. And that's how folks end up making some costly mistakes and losing money and sort of getting into this speculative, like I need to make quick cash. And what's the secret? What do I need to be investing in today? Right? That sort of energy. It's a misalignment of order of operations. So we start with the dream, and then we need to earn. And
so what's that order of operations?
Yeah. So after we get to the dream, before we get to the invest, we need to focus on earning money. Okay. And I think this is the gap in either the way we talk about finance or even financial literacy. We're talking about what to do with the money you bring in, but we never talk to young folks about how do you make the money and how do you make money in a way that's in alignment with your values, right? So part of that is identifying, like, what do you enjoy doing? What skills do you want to build? And then building that practice over time, getting really good at something, and then charging more money for these valuable skills and experiences that you have. You can make, and you've seen my career, right? So I get really good at things. All of a sudden you start making more money. I never left education, but the skill set was, producing higher and higher salaries. And so I think that we don't talk enough about making money. I think we have to name that. And then what you do with the money that you bring in is how you build wealth. So you bring in that money and then you invest it in long term. So investing is a long-term game, right? Time in the market as opposed to timing it is the way that we describe that. And that's how you build wealth over time. And that's how you build a sustainable, enjoyable life, right?
You said Africa doesn't need new ideas, just localized execution of proven models. What do you mean?
What I mean by that is we like to make it seem like whatever we're building on the continent is like this new invention that nobody has heard of. That's not true, right?
And we don't need that.
Exactly. A lot of the business, and is there not innovation? Yes, there is innovation on the African continent, but a lot of the businesses that we're building today are things that have been built before, right? So you have a model to look up to. You have a path you can follow. If you're building, and this is like one of the dumbest examples, right? If you're building the next Uber in Africa, you have a pathway. You can see what the Uber in America did, right? Like what are fundraising, the way they develop, how do they acquire customers? How do they grow? How do they do this? And I think the more people admit that, the more successes we're going to see across the market. So, and you just have to be able to understand your community, the way your users, interact with your product, and you will be successful.
And you know what? I really think, as you were speaking, you could tell I was getting excited because I really think this whole concept is something you should make a key vision pillar of your business. Let me tell you why. Because just like you said, and I'm just trying to support that point from a different angle. We don't need to recreate the wheel, guys.
Yep.
We don't have no business recreating the wheel. The number 2 economy today, called China, built its entire economy on copy work.
Copycats.
Until today, they are still copying. The same Rolls Royce you see in England, they have their new something G80 that kind of looks like a Rolls Royce, but it's an electric vehicle. And so I really like that, and I pray that more people like you push that concept to tell people that you don't need to. Don't recreate something new. Just take the Uber and find a way to localize it. Just take the Amazon and find a way to make it work. Yes, Cameroon, Nigeria, maybe we don't have the most effective postal system. We don't have the most effective home addresses. Ghana, Senegal. But how do we make Amazon work on the field? That is really where the thing is. And I think the role you play and people like you in the venture capitalist space is very powerful. Because just like you said, the ideas are not lacking. What is really lacking is people who are willing to capitalize on those ideas and help people grow. It's just because you're talking about this, right? Let me ask you this. Why is that the case? Because the statistics tell us that the most successful investors on the US stock market are the people who are the least educated. They do it, forget it, and move on. Why is it always this challenge with educated, qualified people trying to do something extraordinary? What is it in your opinion?
Because we think our value comes from labor. That's what we've been taught. The more I do, the more valuable I am, right? My labor is where the value exists. That's why I love this movement of rest, especially for Black women. It's like we're being called into a season of rest. Like my value is not equated to how hard I'm working or how much time I'm working, right? And that is what we've been trained to believe is true. Yeah.
And you see, guys, I hope you're watching and you're paying close attention to what Dr. Woods is saying here. She's throwing down some powerful gems, guys. This is where the tire hits the road, and this is the distinguishing factor. It might sound simple, but it's not easy to disconnect your thought process from the amount of hours you put to the outcome you get. I think to me, that was the most difficult thing in my life. To realize that there can be a point in my life, Dr. Woods, where I sit with somebody one-on-one, I give them coaching, and in 1 hour, they pay me $15,000. It didn't make sense. I worked in IT where I had multiple jobs. I made $200,000-300,000, and they are paying me $70 an hour. And now I'm spending less than 2 hours, and somebody is paying me $15K. But then I realized that it's all about value. It's never about time. And you said something powerful here, especially about people who are qualified, who are educated, who are, who are learned, universities, degrees, right? There's this, let me use my intelligence for something more, for something bigger. Everyday common people invest on the market. They just buy an index fund. No, I'm smarter than that. I could do something more. And I'm sure that's what causes it.
Oh, yeah. And then you learn the hard way, and that's all right. That's why I'm like, okay, experience is going to teach us, but did you learn? Or did you think, well, now I just need to do it better. I need to do it differently. I need a better chart. I've seen it all. So that's a big one. And the other one is, a lot of high income earners are carrying a lot of debt. Like it's just part and parcel. And we still haven't gotten the behavioral piece. And we just keep thinking, well, I earn a lot. I'll earn more next month. I'll earn more next quarter and pay it off. And are really sort of carrying the weight, because all of a sudden that job, you're shackled to it. We call it the golden handcuffs. Now you need that paycheck to carry the debt payments, right? And so all of a sudden the more money we're bringing in is not creating more freedom for us, and quite the opposite. And now and especially if you are working just for the money and you don't love it that much, like that's when you really start to feel enslaved. So this is where our high income people will understand. When you're low income, you're like, I don't care. I'll do anything for the money. Once you have the money, you start to realize, okay, this actually can have an impact on my mental health, my physical, emotional health, all of those things. And so you start to value my life more than just earning more than just the next paycheck.
I want you to walk us through your own personal wealth plan. How do you manage your income? What plan do you have? The 50, 30, 20, the 80, 20, 10, which of them? And how do you realistically plan it in terms of the different phases of your life?
Yeah. So it's changed over time, right? Like early on, I said something about front loading earlier on, right? For everything that I've done in my life, it's been important to me.
I want you to explain that concept of front loading so that somebody who doesn't know what it means can understand.
By front loading, I just mean doing a lot early. So front load, put a lot of the work in the beginning so that the later
brilliant strategy.
Right. And so how that has translated into money for us is we were really aggressive early. When I had my first child, and a lot of people, when they have kids, they get a bigger house, they get a nicer car. For some reason in America, people believe that because you have a child, you now need an SUV, you need a 65, right?
That's incredible.
A sedan is perfectly fine, even for 2 young children. I don't know where that came from, but that's all over the place right now. But I think what we ended up doing was, when we had our kids and they were young, they didn't need to go to school. So the area that we lived in, it didn't matter as much, at least from a school perspective, and that's how I felt over time. So we had bought a house when we were pregnant with our first child. But we bought a small house. We bought it in a not so great, a nice enough area, right? But not necessarily the area we
Their
went
dream
to.
area or anything like that.
Yeah.
Right.
And because we have children that would need to go to school for another 5 years. And I would say that those first 5 years or first 4 years of my first child's life were incredibly important well-building years because our savings rates in those years were over 50%. What that allowed us to do was to invest a lot early, right? Whether you're thinking about the 529 for the kids or thinking our 401k is a given, like we have the ability to max out our 401k, so that's always been a thing that we've done. But then we were able to then also be investing a lot in like brokerage accounts and, you know, saving up for the next home that we were going to get when our kids were then school age. And we're able to do that without minimizing our lifestyle, right? Also, during that period, our family of 4 was able to go travel across Africa for 3 months. So I'm not saying that we were struggling or suffering or depriving ourselves. But the big bucket items that you have to pay every month and that take up the biggest pieces of your budget, we kept it really simple during that period of life. And that's the time in life when people feel like, oh, you know, my budget is really tight because I have young children and I'm paying for daycare. But I think that if you're really thoughtful about your housing and your transportation costs, it can create a lot of buffer in your budget for you to be really aggressive in those early years.
Hold that thought, Mbo. Man, I think we'll need like 4 episodes there. Because you are bringing some things to the limelight which are there. If there are any secrets in well-building, are the secrets. You see, I hear people talk about certain things. I'm one of those, I don't believe in that stuff. Oh, cut down on your coffee. Don't spend the $3 here to buy a candy. No, you're never going to build wealth like that. You talked about 2 of the key expenses. If you take a grip on those 2 expenses, your living, your home, and your transportation, those 2 expenses alone will set you up for everything. And you talked about what is even more important is you talk about the timing. At that early stage in your lives, you people didn't need to have a house of your dream. You didn't need it at that time. Your kids weren't going to school, so you didn't have to go to a school district that was the top school district, because generally the top school districts will have more expensive homes. So in the years when your kids are growing up to start school, instead of already going into those areas where your housing will be maybe 50% more expensive, your transportation might increase by 50%. Now you make those sacrifices, save on those things for 5 years. And you know what? Let me share our screen here. Let's just do a small demonstration. Okay, don't give us all the numbers, but just walk me through the numbers. I like, because some of these things, but when people hear, they don't see, it doesn't really tie up, right? Let's just do something here. Let me share my screen here for a minute, guys, and I want you to pay attention to what I'm doing here, right? This is a simple calculator. I want us to work that situation. How old are your children right now?
They are 6 and 3.
6 and 3 years old. Okay, let's just say, because you loaded for them, let's say in their 529, which is their education fund, right? Let's give a number. Let's say what, maybe 50 grand?
Yeah, so my daughter, let's say 56 for my daughter, 56.
Okay, so let's just do both of them at once.
Oh,
so let's just say maybe 100 grand already.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. And there, the oldest one is 6, the other one is 3. So we are saying that if you don't do anything else, which means you don't contribute no dime anymore, you don't invest nothing for them from the point where they are right now, right? By the time your oldest one is 20 years old, 26 years old, let's take the average return of the US stock market, that has been 10%.
Yeah.
By the time she's 26 years old and the younger one is 23 years old, let's see what will be waiting for them. Guys, the reason why I am sharing this in this podcast is because I want you to really have a visual of what Mbo has been talking about here. And please feel free to copy that strategy, okay? The reason why I do this podcast is because I want to bring real people with real stories that are like you, most of my viewers who are immigrants, and you can learn from them how to do these things. So basically, you took 5 years earlier in your life, 6 years earlier in your life to set up your children and stop it. You don't have to bother about them anymore, because this amount of money, by the time they are 26 and 23 years old, which is the age most of us were instead just coming into America, they're already sitting on this. So let's even say now, to extend it a little more, right? At that point, they choose their different careers, they start working on other things, and they start making whatever income they are, and they choose to say, you know what daddy and mommy left for us, let's just make it a duty that will only touch it at the age of 40. So that leaves this sitting here for another 14 years. So let's say another 30. So let's take a total of 35. Let's see what that happens. So the two of them have $1.4 million to split by their 40th birthday. And that doesn't even include what they've made as their own income.
And you mean they have 1.4 million each, right?
That's right, 1.4 million each. Isn't that incredible, guys?
So no matter what you choose to do that brings you joy, it means that is your alignment. God will make sure that brings you. If fulfillment is money, which 90% of the time is not even the money.
Sure.
The money becomes a side benefit.
Very true.
It's that quiet thing that happens in you where you can actually breathe and say, this is where I need to be. You know, for me, it happened recently. I was in a conference in Cape Town. My first time to be in that conference. But the sheer enormity of it, and one young lady out of the blue stepped up to me and said, "Excuse me, I would like to interview you." And I asked her why. She said she has come to this for 7 years. That was the 6th year. This was the 6th edition. She's been coming to this. She's never seen me before. But there's something about me that proves that I belong here. That's what she told me. South African lady. I still have her number. Said she would like to interview me, and she did. All I spoke about was how this made me feel. But that conference, one of the days, it was the 3rd day of the conference, I stood on it was linking 2 buildings. I stood on
the bridge.
The bridge. And I just stood there, I leaned over and I felt, this is where I belong. This encompasses virtually everything I want to be. An entrepreneur, a communicator, a collaborator, yes, and an opportunity to mentor. I don't know, I don't have any of the answers yet, but I know that one of the key things for me is mentorship. I like to see other people grow to the level where I am. And I think learning and being open to learn is what gets me to that. And I stood there and I realized this is where I should be. This is exactly where God has been leading me to. Everything else is gravy. Everything else is just gravy. The ups, the downs, it was getting me to this point, and I'm holding it firm.
How does it feel?
You see the smile? I sleep. There are bad days. There are tough days. There are days you would feel like you're losing everything, but then go back to that source, that unquenchable source, that source that only the Holy Spirit replenishes for you. Go back to it. I'm yours. I have surrendered. You are guiding. You are my chief laborer. I work for you. Love me.
That's very impressive. That's deep, especially because I read something the other day which touched me too, and it really expatiates a lot on this whole concept you're talking about. Because there is a certain percentage of it you don't control, and you will be
large percentage,
humble and courageous enough to let it go. That poster said, "Pray like it's all in God's hands and work like it's all in your hands."
Yes.
So when you are praying, you are also working.
Yeah.
You are just not praying and hoping that something will happen. You are doing the part that is within your control, which is what you're doing. Conferences, working, partnerships, all those different things. I will not be wrong to say for who you are, for the professional you are, for the person you are, you've achieved quite a lot with your life. It might not be a lot to you because your ambitions have always been set very high. But if everything were to disappear tomorrow, the position, the job, the success, the money in the bank account, what is on the stock market, what part of you will be left? What will be left of Mandy?
If you had asked me this question 7 months ago or 8 months ago, I would have said that the life of the party Mandy, like just the contented Mandy, will be left.
Yes.
But the stuff that happened to me and my family, which you know about, it kind of changed my perspective in life a little bit in terms of like those. I think I should even triple the excitement and, you know, life is short kind of thing. I always talk like, well, usually on social media I'll be like, you only live once, YOLO, right? But sometimes you don't know the importance of those statements until something tragic happens to you. So the reason why I answered that question, like if you asked me this 7 months or 8 months ago, I would have said what I said, is because after that thing happened, I'm still trying to find myself again to figure out like what drives me, right? Then I'll do everything and I'm excited because that person is there, and it's like that was my purpose. Make him happy, do everything, make sure he's good, and all of that stuff. You know, everything I did.
This is your father, right?
This is my father, yeah. So it was hard for me to say I'm not contented right now because I feel like life is not fair. I'm in that phase I'm still in the phase of denial. I'm not yet in the phase of acceptance. I'm trying to get back to my old self. So if you take everything away from me, I would just say I'm somewhat contented, but not there, because I just feel like some things were taken away from me too early that I wasn't ready. I didn't plan for. But deep within, I feel like there were moments where I feel like I live a fulfilled life. People will be like, what's your biggest fulfillment, or what makes you the happiest? I'm gonna say what I did to my dad in 2021 was the biggest thing for me, like seeing that joy on his face and all of that. Just gave me I felt like I added years to his life, right? And it gave me a fulfillment. So right now I'm just like, okay, what's the next thing? Okay, it's about me, but there's really not much I can do to myself, quite honestly, because I got to a place of contentment and self-fulfillment where I felt like I'm quote unquote, I could be living the American dream. It's different for everybody, right? But the level of freedom and financial freedom I have right now, I'm not aspiring to, like, let me put it into perspective. If somebody gives me $1 million right now and say, hey, this is for your hard work, I say this with the most honesty, truest way possible, and most humble. It's not going to change my perspective about money. I'm not going to buy a bigger house immediately because of $3 million. I'm not going to buy a car. I'm not going to start going to buy steak because somebody. You understand what I mean? My perspective about money will not change. I'll probably just put it and invest and say, okay, that's an addition to my portfolio. So that's how far I have come with learning about myself. Right now, I'm just trying to. The quality of life is more important to me right now. Like, a better quality of life, you know, spend time with the people I love, or try to make sure I'm there for the people I love and who care about me, and then just doing my job. That's what pays the bill at the moment, right? So if you take that everything away from me, I'm still gonna be fulfilled, Mandy, because I feel like I ticked a lot of boxes that I had in life. Maybe there's one. I haven't been to the Super Bowl yet, so.
Okay, you're still working on that one. And I like the fact. Yes, I was there actually. I was there when you made. And for our viewers, Mandy lost her dear daddy, her best friend, about 7 months ago, in a ghastly motor accident. And so pray for her, please, as you watch this podcast. She has gone through some very difficult times with that, because she was very close to her father. He was a very active man, as she said at the beginning of the podcast. He taught him most of what she learned in her life. Her mother died when she was a baby, so her father eventually brought her up. And everything she learned in life is mostly from her dad. And I know that because I was honored, blessed, and privileged to be the MC at her dad's 75th birthday, was it? 70th birthday.
Yeah.
And Mandy made a very touching gift to her daddy, who he's an engineer, and he had always dreamt of owning a Tesla. And he was surprised that day with a Tesla. And I mean, I say that I feel goosebumps, I feel tears coming down my eyes, because these are the moments people live for in their lives, right? I say that as a father, I say that as a human being, I say that as a community person. What I saw on your father's face that day has always remained with me. I've been to meet it, as you know, I've been an MC2 for many years. I've been to a lot of events, but I saw something about a man with a certain intensity of joy and fulfillment in him. And so I can really relate some of the struggles you're going through right now, and we'll continue to pray for you on that. Your life is all said and done. You finished your career, you retired, and you're on your way out of this side of eternity. What is it that you like your children, your grandchildren, your wife, the people who knew you, and the community at large to remember about you? What is that legacy you want to leave behind?
Oh, that is mind-blowing. That is mind-blowing. At the end of it all, the money, the houses, it's family. My legacy is a united family, right? A divided family brings chaos. You know, money and a divided family means absolutely nothing. So my legacy is that my family needs to be together. My family needs to be knitted, right? My kids should be able to communicate with their siblings, right? We are in a society now where we tend to chase money, right? We tend to chase fame, but we forget the foundational elements of why we as a people are here today. We forget to understand that we left everything we knew and moved over to a society where we had nothing. You know, similarly to you, I came here with a little valise, as they used to call it when we were in boarding school.
Yeah.
And I believe that story resonates with so many people.
Of course.
Right? That was our American dream. And we have been able to build that dream brick by brick, step by step. Failed engagements, successful engagements, learned lessons. But at the end of it all, if family is the sole purpose of what drives us to be here today, to be having this conversation, to be able to educate others, if that fundamental purpose gets broken, the question is, to what end?
Wow.
So to me, family is my legacy. And then coupled upon of that, there should be financially blessed beyond measure.
At the end of the day, there have to be an icing on it.